Welcome to the In Story Show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and this season our theme is soul hunger, on hearing God, making meaning, and leaving a legacy. And what does it mean to nourish your soul, and how do we do that? So today I am thrilled to welcome Larissa Russell. Hi, Larissa.
Hi.
So before we dive in, I'm going to read a little bit about Larissa, and then we'll see where we are led. Larissa Russell is co-founder of Creative You Healing. She is an internationally recognized author, speaker, artist, coach, and healer. She firmly believes that one can heal oneself through creative expressions such as drawing, writing, and meditating, tapping into their spiritual essence. With extensive knowledge and various spiritual practices, Larissa utilizes her intuition and spiritual insights to guide women in accessing their inner intuition and healing. Her aim is to empower women to establish healthy boundaries and to discover endless opportunities in life. In addition to her work, Larissa hosts the Creative Soul Healing Podcast, a platform where she engages in profound discussions with fellow creatives and healers about the therapeutic power of creativity. All right, we'll dive into everything else in our conversation. So, as usual, I really love people to start with their story. And we talked a little bit about how it is somewhat of a cautionary tale. So, tell us a little bit of your story of how you got from there to here.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the reason I do what I do, and it is a cautionary tale. So I suffered from depression my whole life. I have been a creative my whole life, but often creativity goes by the wayside. Those things that you love, that you know help, when you are in depression, they go by the wayside. And I did all the things that I was supposed to do, all the things I was told to do. I got married, I bought the house, I had the children, I did all the things, worked in the cubicle, and followed the rules my whole life. And it nearly killed me. Suffering from depression. And about 8 years ago now, I suffered such a severe bout of depression that I nearly died and was hospitalized. And if I hadn't been so exhausted when I was released at 1:30 in the morning to walk home, that's our medical system for you, I would no longer be here. And something happened that night, and I call it divine intervention. And I woke up with this knowing that I could not trust anyone but myself. I could not rely on anyone but myself. And as a survivor of many traumas, I got used to relying on my own self, but still seeking expertise from others, right? Always expertise from others, which can be important. However, our system is not really looking at your best interest, it's looking at the system's best interest. So I started journaling, I started creating, I started expressing what I needed to express. And through that was able to heal myself. I have not suffered from a bout of depression since. I have had hardship since, but I have tools to work through them. I do not suffer from depression any longer. And I think the main reason why is because I finally released my true self. And so I was able to heal myself, but through that realized I couldn't keep pretending to fit in. I couldn't keep trying to do all the things I was told to do. And I needed to make a change. And so after a break, trying to work, and then I was given this reprieve by being let go through our work changes and things. I was given a reprieve that came with a bit of a buyout and was like, all right, I have been given this opportunity. I could see it as oh my God, what am I going to do? I need a job. No, I saw it as an absolute opportunity to do what I love and help other people. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So healing with creativity. Mm-hmm.
So I would love to hear like a little bit more of how you like embraced the change and made it grow bigger. Right. And how did it affect your family? Like, do you have, like, how did your family who watched you go through, like, if you want to share a little bit, because so much of what forces us to fit in is everybody else. And then when we stop fitting in, sometimes that's when they upset because we're not fitting in. So I'd love to hear a few more things that you solved along the way, and that will and kind of goes with how you now encourage others to have the courage to really become their authentic selves and
Yeah.
risk
And
of
that's
not
a
fitting in.
really big part, because that is what stops us, right? Because as we change, the things around us change. And we're hardwired to not like change. Our brain is like, nope, danger, danger. We don't want change. So other people don't want you to change. They might want you to be happy and they might want all these great things for you, but they don't want it to be different, because now their brain is kicking off going, danger, danger. Things are changing. We're going to die. No, the situation is different, but we have to work through that. And you know what? Things will change. Things will be altered. It could be relationships, it could be jobs, it could be so many different things. And you have to work through each one as it comes up. But ultimately, you can go on being miserable and probably sometimes not even realizing it. But that's where our depression and anxiety comes from, is we're so unhappy and we don't know what to do, because our brain is telling us if we change, we're in danger. So every time we take a step towards something new and different, we get this warning system telling us all the things we're doing wrong. And so it can be a real battle inside, right? And that's where, for me, journaling has been a big part of that. Open communication as much as possible. Not everybody's open to that. And I have lost relationships, including a daughter who didn't like the changes. And I had to be okay with that, because I couldn't continue to be that person. I am still here for her when she's ready. However, I could not continue to be that person. I was going to die. Literally was going to die. And so those changes had to come for my own good. And as my world got turned upside down repeatedly, it got a little bit better and got turned upside down a little bit better. And every change will do that. Journaling has been a godsend to me, but many creative processes for myself. And everybody has something different that they're creative with. And it could be gardening or baking. It could be, I love creating spreadsheets. It could be so many different things
Wow.
that you're creative with. I do. I'm also a painter and a writer. But we all have those things that bring us joy, that have that spark for us. And
Right.
it's a creative endeavor of some sort. And so really leaning into what's going to make you happy, but also allow you to express what you need to express.
Right. We were talking earlier about that sort of that fear of being yourself, because I like to talk about it as coming out of hiding and daring to be seen for who you really are. And I think that as we find each other, we start to get support to be able to take these risks and not feel like we're really going to die, right? Like, because we have to, I've also done parts work where we have to work with all the different parts so that we change those inner voices. So I would love for you to share some tools you love. Maybe we'll get to like a journaling technique, but one I know we're going to do, but maybe a couple of ways that journaling really has helped you, and a couple of other things that have, I don't know, that have made a difference for you and have allowed you to help others, right? To get out of the trap of playing small, staying safe, being stuck. Like, there's just so many different tools. So share a few of your faves.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, journaling, and there's so many types, and I'm going to share one with you in a little bit. But I think any time that we can express ourselves is really important. So whatever that is for you, I think journaling is great because you can ask questions. You can like be a little more involved. But whether you're painting or, planting a garden, feel into it. Feel into what feels right for you. Really allow it to be an expression of who you are. And that's a wonderful way to start. Because it feels somehow separate and yet is an expression of yourself, right? An expression of what you are, who you are. And then as you get stronger in your own self and expressing outwardly, you can express more inwardly.
Mhm.
And that's where you gain the strength from it. And that's why I think the creative endeavors are so important for this process, because we can learn to express in whatever way works for us outwardly first before we can go inward. So for me, it's journaling, painting. Those are really big for me. And I think community is also another really big part that people often forget, is having people to talk to. I do a lot of my programs as group programs because I really think that community part is really important. And whatever that community is for you, it needs to be a safe place where you feel you're a part of it. That's really important to me, is that everybody feels safe and feels that they can be their truest self. And I really I hold that very, I don't even know what the word is, very sacredly, that space, because I think it's so important to have. And I know that not everybody likes me. That's okay. They don't have to. There's 8 billion people on this planet now. They don't all have to like me. I once thought they did. I was taught they did. I needed to, like, what were the neighbors going to think? Oh, we can't let them know that they're going to judge. No, my parents were the most judgmental. I have now become the most judgmental of myself. So it's like, no, there's 8 billion people. Just find different people. We don't need to worry about the people who don't like us. They're not our problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And, you touched on holding something sacredly, and that's like a whole other area I think is such an important discussion. I wrote an email at one point saying, do you give away your sacred time?
Yeah.
All right. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit more, because I think creativity is sacred time.
Yes.
And that is a nourishment of the soul, because part of the summit is, why are our souls so starving?
The biggest thing that I see is we live in a very masculine energy world. And the feminine energy is struggling to have any attention at all. Everything that we create must be for profit. It must produce something. Our whole society is based on more, faster. If we enhance something and we can be done faster, then we must do more. We have to fill that space with more production. And the feminine energy is about creativity. It's about intuition. It's about self-care. It's about those things that balance. And when we take care of ourselves, when we allow space for creativity, we actually can produce more without the burnout, without all the angst. And if we could recognize that, our world would just be moved so much smoother. There would be so much less conflict and even illness, right? As we stress is so damaging to us, the anxiety, the depression. And so those energies, when we fight them, and I talk about this a lot, because it's like, but I have to make something from this. I also have Creative You Business, where I help women build their businesses, their heart-centered businesses. And we talk about it a lot, because do you really need a business, or do you want a business to justify that you like to create?
That's such a great
And
question.
that is often a real thing, right? Because we think we must sell. We have to sell what we do.
Right.
And we don't. We don't even have to finish it, which is another big thing that comes up in community, is like, oh, I have all these projects that I haven't finished. That's okay. You don't have to finish them. If you got joy, if you got moments of peace, if you felt good creating them and it no longer serves you, don't let that take up time in your head, right? Because it's like, so what? Let somebody else do it. Give it to somebody else who'd want it, who wants to try it. Let them finish it. I really think we should do more of that. Trade projects. It's like, here, I want to try something different. I'm done with this. Because we have so much guilt tied to it because we must produce. And we don't need to. We
Right.
don't need to.
Right. The creative expression has intrinsic value. It is
Yes,
soul nourishing, it's food for your soul. And if you don't feed your soul, you get sick and go to the hospital for depression and almost die or whatever. Like
exactly.
we get sick from not feeding our souls.
We do. We do. And trying to fit in, not feeding our souls and trying to fit into this box that I don't think anybody really fits into,
Right.
but we all think we're supposed to. And so we keep contorting ourselves to try and fit into this box. And it's a no-win situation.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know. I talk about it all the time too. And it's exciting now for us women who are like past the level that we have to comply. We're sort of over it, honestly. I like that we're sort of over it. And so now we have this wisdom and fortitude, and we just need a little more courage and support to really come out of hiding and start to lead with our creative expression. So do you want to do a little quick journal exercise with us?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a super simple one that anyone can do. And I'm just going to get you to take 6 deep breaths, because 6 is what the experts, the breathing experts, say actually centers us. So I'm just 6 really deep breaths. Allow that energy of settling in and grounding yourself. And this journaling exercise, it's just pen and paper is all you need. You're just tapping in and listening, and you're not trying to direct anything. You're not trying to find the answers. You're just asking questions. And when you're looking for what is best for you, because this is where I like to start, what do I need to know today? What is one thing that will help me move forward? What is in my best interest right now? Even asking yourself, am I happy? I just want you to ask that question and immediately write the answer. I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to write. So ask a question, write the answer. Just give yourself a couple moments to ask a couple of questions. And if you need clarification, but don't censor yourself. Just listen and write. Just allow it to flow. And the more you practice this, the easier it'll become, the less you'll get in your own way. And as we learn to do this, as we learn to listen in, and that's why I like to center with the breathing, just listen in, ask what you need, ask what you want an answer to. It's all there. But our brain kicks in right after our intuition. So our intuition knows the answer, and that's why we want to write it down right away, because our brain is going to kick in next, and it's going to say, danger. We don't like change. We don't want you to change. Everything's fine the way it is. You're doing everything wrong. And that is your brain. Your intuition, your divine, higher power, whatever you want to call it, always has your best interest. Your brain does not. Your brain's job is to keep you safe. And so allowing that intuition to talk, to actually get its voice heard. And the more you do this, the easier it will become. And so if you can just allow the words to spill out onto the page, that's the truth. That's what you need to know. Such a simple exercise. It does take some practice because your brain's going to kick in, but the more you do it, the easier it'll become, and the more you'll be able to listen for what's best for you.
Yeah, I love this practice, and there's so many ways to do it, but asking and hearing messages is such a fun and rewarding, and becomes more and more creative. And over time, I have a whole gang I talk to, a whole team, and new ones join up, and it's very creative. And this is where, for me, imagination gets to be trusted. Yes, it feels like you're just making all this up, but someone once said, God can't talk to you through your imagination. Imagination sometimes helps, you outsmart your ego critic, resistant mind. And so, and I will also sometimes do this while I'm walking and talk out loud. Sometimes I'll record it, sometimes I won't. But there are a lot of ways to ask and trust what you get, is a lot of what I think all of us are teaching. There are these new ways of receiving very profound information. I do a lot with image and metaphor also, but really this is that higher realm. I like to call it spiritual imagination, where it's spiritual, it's creative, it's imagination, it's all those parts that school told us to stop.
Yes.
And we here are dedicated to helping you get it back.
Exactly. And this is just one small thing you can do. We do intuitive creativity, but it's all about tapping in. It's all about listening and stopping the chatter of the brain, because the brain is going to try. And so the more we can get in there before the brain, and then also recognizing the brain's job is to keep you safe at any cost. Anything new is dangerous. And if you can understand that, then your brain is going to come up with all of these reasons why you can't. So listen in, and ignore that brain that's telling you otherwise.
Yeah. I like to say, take that voice, say, thank you for sharing. Now shut up, get in the back seat, eat your ice cream, I'm driving. Just having a sense of humor sometimes is also very helpful. And that's part of beginning to listen to your own style and your own way of being. People will ask me, what's the in-story way? I'd say, finally doing it your way. Exactly Well, tell us a little bit about your free gift, which I know is connected to journaling.
Yes, it's actually this exercise that I just led you through, but I include a guided meditation, and then the exercises, I walk you through it so that you can do it and have time to do it. And just a reminder, because if you're anything like me, I've shared this with you and you're like, oh, this is brilliant, I'm going to remember, and then you don't. So this we'll send it to you, and then you'll have access to it and have a meditation as well.
Right. And I really love that there's a meditation with it, because I think when we listen to some kind of guided process, we know how we talked about sacred time. It helps you make that time sacred and dedicated. and just pushing against the pull of the world that always wants us to stop doing this deep, creative, sacred work. Always.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Absolutely. I use meditation every day. I have a meditation and journaling program every single weekday morning we meet. And I can't imagine starting my day without it. Yeah.
that's beautiful. To say a little bit more what that is. That's a really great idea. I'd love to hear you share a little
Yes.
more about it.
Morning Calm. And we meet every weekday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain, so 9 a.m. Eastern, and for an hour. And we just do a little debrief. And then I do a guided meditation. I put up a journaling prompt. We write for 15 minutes, and then we come back and we discuss the journaling. So it's a sense of community, gives us the meditation and the journaling, all those different things to start and really look at how we want to show up in the world, how we want to be our best selves. And it's all about us as individuals, as opposed to us as a part of our society. Not that we're not a part of our society, we are, but our uniqueness is what makes us so amazing. And our society likes to put us into that box because we're easier to control that way. And so our uniqueness is our superpower because it allows us to stand out. And we've been taught that's really scary because our society doesn't want people who stand out. They're difficult to control. And so we need to use our superpower and stand out. And trust me, the people who see that and recognize that in you, they will flock to you. And the community that you build from that is so amazing. So amazing.
I love that, and it's super important for everybody to remember that the more you can honor that unique soul calling that is your superpower and share it, the better you're going to feel.
Yes.
Really, and the bigger difference you'll make. All right, leave us with one more thought before we wrap up.
I think it's really about listening to what's best for you. Right? I know as women, we are taught that everybody else comes first. And we all know the analogy about putting the face mask on first so we can help other people, but we don't listen to it. You need to look after you before you can look after others. And it's also not your job to look after everyone else. I know that's not something we're taught. I know we really don't believe it because we all do it, but it's not your job to look after everyone else. Yeah.
I can agree more. It's so much about finding out what is calling you forward. It's really what we're saying is it's our turn.
Yes.
It's our turn. Yeah. I like to call it lead with your light and lead in your lane.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
So, thank you so much, Larissa. It is really an inspiration for us to know we are on these paths together. And we invite all of you, get Larissa's free gift, look into her website, her community, join something that inspires you. Don't sit alone in what I call the spin cycle. Like, join in, connect, take some steps to get the support you need to just honor that creative flow that is your essence. So thank you so much. And as I always say in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, folks.